Hi, welcome to another of our Success with People livecast sessions. I'm Trevor E.S. Smith, and I'll be your guide through the next 35 minutes. We won't be here longer than that. So, today we want to look at this issue of burnout. It is real, friends. I just had a conversation this morning with a colleague, a friend of mine, who actually has major issues coming from her executive profile. Yes, she found a lot of issues that were not normally, you know, a problem for her, and it's all related to her workplace stress. So I just want to point out that this issue of burnout is a factor, but there could also be burnout across a team. And that's what we want to talk about today, team burnout. Yes? All right. So organizations can have this problem. And there's a Gallup study that indicated that two-thirds, two out of every three employees in that study, and it was like 7,500 persons suffered from burnout. So it's real. It's real. And our objective today is to see how we can actually address the issue. All right. So we can't totally deal with it, but we can look at least one factor that's important in dealing with burnout, team burnout. Okay. So let us see first of all with the cues so that you can see when this is coming. All right. So the first thing that we look at would be health issues, and we want to look at Marsha. So she dedicated, never miss a day of work, first in, last out. But now we find that Marsha is missing days, taking off sick days. And we are saying, what's happening? Is Marsha looking to leave the job? What's happening with Marsha? Why is she really not present? And so finally, Marsha goes and gets a checkup, and she finds that she has some stress-related health issue. That's a real factor. That's a real factor. I'm telling you, I just spoke to somebody this morning with exactly this. Her thyroid levels are off the chart. Never happened before. Yeah. So when that happens, and we say, okay, that's happened to Marsha. But what happens when it goes and the other members of the team also have the same challenges? What happens then? That's the question. We need to look at that as a warning sign. Yeah. Then conflict. This is a nice, harmonious team. These people get along very well. But here is a situation now where it seems to be at Dagger's Run. Well, not quite at Dagger's Run, but there seem to be little conflicts coming up at small things that they would normally overlook. And some of the things are escalated, to be resolved when normally people would just say, okay, I'm sorry, Trevor. Maybe I said the wrong thing. And we just move on. But no, some of the conflicts are more embedded. And so that's one of the things that we have to look at. What is it that's causing this shift, this change in this team? Yeah? Then the other one, of course, productivity. The numbers don't lie. The statistics are indicating that the output is just not the same. Yeah, it's taking longer to do things. We're getting less out in a day. We're getting more calls in from customers or clients about issues that we thought could have been resolved. What's happening here? Why is this taking place? So those are some of the cues that might be pointing to chronic group team, if you want to look at it just as team burnout. Another another indicator is low engagement levels. This is perhaps harder to identify because um, we know that Gallup has been doing studies over the years that have shown perennial issues related to staff turnover. Their studies indicate that two-thirds, up to two-thirds of employees are just going through the motions and not really engaged at work. So this one might be hard to pick up, but that's, when we think it gets even worse, then there might be a sign. And of course, ultimately, if you have not been picking up the signs, when Marsha comes and says, "Hey, I can't do anymore, I'm out," yeah, then you might want to look at what's going to happen if you don't take action, because you're going to start to end up with empty cubicles. You're going to lose staff members, talent was hard to acquire and would be even harder to maintain, because the word out now would be that your environment is challenging, to put it this way. I don't want to use the word toxic, but that people are running away from your environment because of the high levels of stress and etc. So, is there something that you can do? What is it that you can do? No. Let me be clear. I'm not here to give you an answer to all the challenges, because it's going to be difficult. Some of the thing is just overload. That there's just more work than man hours. And so I can't fix that, because it means hiring and maybe you don't have the resources to hire. So there are several factors that could lead to burnout that we can't address. But there's one, and that's where I want to look at. There's one that we can deal with. And so it relates to the assignment of tasks. What is it that we are doing? Yeah? Someone just told me that I completed an assignment, and when I completed it, I felt disgusted. You hear me? I felt disgusted having done completed it, because I just didn't want to do it. So you know that when you're enjoying your work, there is duty. You feel comfortable. You don't ignore the time. But when you get tasks to do that really and truly drive you up a creek, add stress. And so the key now then is to look at how we are assigning tasks. Are we taking the trouble to analyze how the tasks are being assigned, who is getting what? And that's where I want to um, dive down into. Let me tell you where I'm going with this. We have done projects where we have been invited to add a behavioral component to job descriptions. So the normal job descriptions don't actually talk about the behavior that would best fit this relationship. So let me just share, for example. So if we're looking at someone who's doing assessments in an HIV clinic, you really want someone who is really focused on quality assurance, on compliance, on doing things according to the book. You don't want somebody who's more, creative and innovative and, gets distracted easily. So you know the kind of behavior that's assigned to that job. If you were looking on the other side now of somebody who's a playmaker at a hotel resort, then you do want somebody who is easy with people and is creative and can really create a lot of excitement. So we know then that jobs have some kind of a personality attached to them, and that is the key. If we can assign roles that are best fit for someone's personality is going to make a difference as to whether they enjoy the job, as to how stressed they are, as to how tired they are. Just think about it. If you were assigned or you had to use your left hand, let us say you're right-handed, and you had to use your left hand at work all day long, you're going to be much more tired than if you were able to use your right hand. And it's the same thing with behaviors. We need to look then at how do we solve this problem, because this problem is a stress-related problem where people are in roles that they are not comfortable doing. And so every day, because they want to earn their income, so every day they come, but they do it, but they're extremely tired when they go home because this is not what they want to do. And so burnout is likely in those situations. So this is the one we can solve. We can actually solve the problem of task alignment to personalities. That makes a huge difference in terms of addressing one of the issues. So I'm just saying, if we're not paying attention to this, there is a danger that burnout could be camping at your door. Yeah. Because let us say when we are not attentive to behavioral styles and to how people communicate, how I want to receive my instructions, how I want to give you instructions, how I want to receive feedback, how I want to give you feedback, how do we connect? Yeah. So it's gonna lead to a lot of misunderstandings, misinterpretations, rework. It's gonna deal with frustrations. I'm going to go home, pick up, be very upset because of how you said something to me. And so that constant friction and that constant misunderstanding is going to contribute to high levels of stress, which can then fuel burnout. So, what is the answer to that? Here are some solutions. And that's where we want to be today, just to give you one answer to team burnout, and that is task style alignment. What is it that I'm suggesting that you do? First, and the major thing, if you just get one thing from what I'm saying today, it is this. Spend the time. If you don't have the expertise, get the expertise. Have someone go back over your job descriptions with a unique focus on the behavioral implication. Who is best, or put it this way, not even who is best. What kind, if we could create somebody to do this job, how would that individual behave? What kinds of personality, what kinds of behaviors would we expect from this individual? That, so let me tell you, the exercise, one of the exercises that we're talking about in terms of doing this work with job descriptions is that there was a job where the individual had to be extremely innovative and creative, yeah, in order to succeed. But at the same time, there were budgets appended, and the person had to be able to account for every single cent, you know. And so, on one hand, you wanted what we identify as I style behavior, and on the other side would be a C style behavior. Hard to find someone with that covers that spectrum. C and I, different philosophies, different mindset, different approaches to life. And so the recommendation we made is it is best to divide up the functions. Let this individual do the creative things and get someone else to do the accounting. So that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about, because that individual will perhaps not succeed at one of the areas. Either they're going to be more focused on the finances and lose some of the creativity, or vice versa. So that's the kind of thing we're talking about. What is it that we're looking for, and how can we find someone that fits that role? What that does as well is that you get someone who is excited about the job, who is interested all day long, getting along with the work, not being upset with tasks that they don't want to do. And of course, this requires, yes, I know, it's not a promotion, though, but I'm just, but I can't deal with the issue without giving you the tools. So you definitely, it's not something that you can just think about. You have to do the behavioral assessments. And so, for example, and you can use whatever tool you want, but at extended risk, we have what we call a role fit analysis, where we pull out from our vast behavioral library competencies that are aligned to getting this job done. So we pull out those competencies and we say, okay, this is what you're looking for. This is the ideal client for this job. And so you do the behavioral assessment, you match them against the role fit analysis, and you can see which client, which applicant, for example, is the ideal fit. You can then use those areas where there's a gap, where the person is not comfortable with a particular competence that's important. And then you can say, this is training, this is the coaching. We're gonna help you to bridge those gaps. So that's basically what it is. Because if you look at the map on the right, you have certain areas, and we're not saying that people can't function um, against their comfort area. We're not saying that. All they're saying though is that certain jobs require certain kind of behavior, and if you're filling that role, then you need to behave in those ways. And so, for me, you're going to have less chance of burnout if the person's natural style is aligned to the role that they're assigned to do, as against if they're stretching all the time to be something other than who they are. That's the idea. So the thing then, action to solve one aspect of burnout, burnout is one, review your job descriptions. Yes, from a behavioral perspective. So make sure that you're doing a role fit. Identify what is the ideal behavioral style for this role. And then the other thing would be the behavioral assessment. And having got the behavioral assessment done, you can then see who is a good fit for it. And of course, you keep reviewing and refining the process over time. All right. So that's basically what I wanted to share with you today. So we're going to be out much quicker than normal, but don't want to just drag on, but it's dragging on sick. So here are some things. And I want to ask you a question quick before you go. I want to let you know that these live casts are available on our YouTube channel. It's at Extended Disc Solutions, at Extended Disc Solutions, and you can access all of these live casts. Also, I'm inviting you to join our leadership DNA club, where we share information. As I keep saying, this is not one of those clubs, groups that on LinkedIn that you just come and everybody just put ads on it. This is really just content rich, so you can actually just ask. We're letting everybody, by the way, ask to join the leadership DNA club. And as you know, probably don't know, is that we have a Success with People newsletter, so you can actually subscribe to that and get rich content every week. So who are we? I'm with the Success with People Academy. We are a part of the InfoServe group, and we deploy our discerning model of communication and leadership to help individuals, teams, and organizations to be their best selves. Right? And of course, yes, we are franchise holders for Extended Disc on the Revolutionary Fit platform, and so we do granular behavioral DNA assessments. So I'd love to have a conversation with you. You can send me an email at info@successwithpeople.org. I have a major question for you. I want to move the timing of these live casts from the middle of Friday in the days to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So right now we are same time with the US, and it might then move to 9 o'clock. So if you can just send me, please, a little note to say that works for me or better for me. We will still have the recordings, but we'd like to shift from a Friday 11 a.m. to a Thursday night at about 2 p.m. Please let me know. Also, as you can see, we are sure recertification providers, which means that when people work and people get professional development credits, they can, in fact, use them for their SHRM CP or SCP certification. Bottom line is that means that we operate at high international standards. So that's it. Just want to remind you the key is look at the misalignment, mismatch of personality with role, and try to fix that. That's going to help a lot of persons to avoid burnout. All right. So I'm Trevor E. S. Smith, and thank you for spending time with me.